Welcome to The Nation. Good afternoon. It is Tamina Kausji in the Banama Studios, and today we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Max Shankar, who is the author and international property investor of a very soon-to-be launched book called Investment Strategies for Global Real Estate. So we'll be talking all about real estate and what does it have for Malaysians in store. Now, Hi, welcome to the studios.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
All right, so before we get started, tell us a little bit about your background itself.
Okay, I'm Max Shankar. Basically, I'm born in a small hometown called Batu Arang, Rawang. I'm sure a lot of people have never heard of this name, Batu Arang.
All right.
And then I finished my degree in UTM. Okay, and then from a network engineer, I jumped as a property investor now.
Right, okay, so your background is actually IT, but now you're in property investment.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty radical 360.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Was it personal interest or something else?
My passion has always been real estate because I mix with a lot of friends who are very successful in their career and also in their life. And I noticed that most of them, or I can say almost all of them, have part and parcel been property investors. Right? And not necessarily in Malaysia, but worldwide. Internationally.
Right. Yeah. Okay, yes, good point, fair enough. There's a lot of money to be made out there for people who invest in property. Okay, now before we move along, let's talk about your book. Your book is called Investment Strategies for Global Real Estate, with the tagline, How to Make Big Money with Small Capital.
Okay,
all right.
This is the books.
Yes, that's the book itself.
Yeah. And I still remember when I have the intention to write this book, a lot of people say as selling at $100 for this book is a little bit overpricey.
Okay, a bit steep. All right. But as I pointed out to you earlier, you've already got the bestsellers chop on the book itself. Now, your book hasn't yet been launched. Congratulations,
Thank
though.
you.
In 2 weeks, it's upcoming. But how can you already say that it's a bestseller?
Okay, I have a lot of supports from my friends and also some clients.
Right.
They have a pre-order for more than 1,000 books.
Right,
because a part of this book, also, although we are going to share on the investment strategies, but we're also doing a charity campaign.
I see.
Part of the proceeds will go to the charity homes.
I see, right. So that actually gives it a bestseller status, though it hasn't yet been launched.
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Now, you've been getting a lot of coverage of recent, and we see that you've been winning a lot of awards in and around Malaysia. Can you tell us a little bit about the Global Leadership Award 2015, which you've recently picked up?
Yeah, in the Excellence in the Global Real Estate Investment.
Right.
It's a co-organized by American Leadership Development Association.
Okay.
By this global top 10 leadership guru.
I see.
Otto Kamazi, who is in the guru in this field.
I see.
And because of the drive and motivation to lead a lot of my business associates or property investors to take their first step out of Malaysia and look for global real estate investment.
Right. Okay. So that's part and parcel of why you've been awarded it. Now, just out of curiosity, so what was your first international property investment outside of Malaysia?
Okay, Hong Kong.
I see.
We're investing into these lands in Hong Kong, especially the new territories.
Right.
That was a few years back.
Okay. And how long have you been in the property investment line yourself?
For 3 years, for the past 3 years.
Right.
And although we are new, but we already venture into UK, US, Germany, Australia, and the recent New Zealand.
Right, most recently New Zealand. Yeah, we'll be coming to that shortly. Now, moving away from the field of investment for a short while to focus on what you also do in your spare time. I'm not sure how you really keep up with the busyness of your schedule, but I also hear that you've got a strong interest in the performing arts.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about some of your ventures.
Okay, recently I invested in one of the movies. Right, I think it's a Malaysian Pride. The Kid from the Big Apple.
Okay, The Kid from the Big Apple.
Yes.
And what language is it in?
It's in Mandarin.
Okay, Mandarin language.
And it's a Malaysian Chinese movie director and also the directors. Yeah.
I see. Right. And so Kid from the Big Apple, is it already out in the cinemas?
It's almost finished casting. All right. So now just a post-production.
I see.
And this movie, although before the script writing, already won 2 international awards.
All right.
Hollywood and also New York Script Contests.
I see, right. So that means you put a lot of back end and PR work into making sure that the script writing goes out to the certified awards bodies.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm honored to be part of this movie as well.
Right. May I ask, who is the script writer?
Jess Tiong, a Malaysian Chinese.
All right. Okay. And she's won the award for best script writer.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so it seems that there's a lot been coming up for you in 2015 itself.
Especially the storyline talk about the family value.
Yes. Tell us about the storyline.
Now the 21st century.
Right.
A lot of this Gen Y and Gen Z. And the parents, right, the relationship a bit far distance.
Yes, that's right. There's always a generation gap, like we call it.
Or culture shock.
Yes, that too.
Even dining the same table, sometimes the young kids are playing with their handphone,
That's
and
true.
neglected the parents.
I think we're ourselves guilty of it sometimes. Yes. Okay.
So there's one of the main reasons why I invested into these movies.
Right. Okay. And do you also have any background yourself in the performing arts?
Not really. I hope I can.
Right. Yes. But I'm really glad that you're coming out to show your strong support for the industry itself.
Especially the Malaysian movies.
Yes, especially. And I do think especially the Mandarin or the Cineese language industry has been making great strides. All right.
True.
All the best with the launch of the movie.
Thank you.
When do you plan to release it in local cinemas?
I think I have to check with the movie directors.
Right.
Expecting early next year.
Early next year. All right. So a big 2016 start as well. All right, wonderful. Now, coming back to your book, your book is going to be sort of the pièce de résistance, the big one for this year. So what inspired you to come out and write a book? I mean, you've already been busy enough, investing and advising all your clients and your friends. So why make that jump into becoming an author? Was this always something you wanted to do?
Yeah, actually, the main reason why I want to write this book, all right, to share the knowledge, actually is not a storyline, but it's more like a reference point.
Right. Okay. So it's not in that sense, a personal relation about what happened to you.
Yeah, still young for that.
All right. Okay.
But
yes.
Because during our training and seminars, we noticed that a lot of these young investors,
right,
they just blindly invest in something overseas, right? And we always have that kind of advice. It's too far away. You do not know what you are investing.
Right.
Some because they was motivated during the seminars, then they put their hard-earned money, and end of the day they found out it's a scam, or even they burn their all lifetime investment.
Yes, that's quite a common and unfortunate story, I think, today.
So that's one of the main reasons why I write this book, to share some strategies which proven.
Right.
These are countries that we myself have invested together with our friends. And the second reason is I would like to have some kind of a contribution back to the society. So part of, or can say 50% of the proceeds of the books, it goes to charity.
Okay, wow. That is something I think is fairly unheard of. I mean, we often hear of proceeds going, but perhaps a 5% or a 10%. Okay, so it really is because of your spirit to want to share with people how to invest wisely.
Yes, and at the same time do good to the society as well.
Right. Wonderful. But why, in this age of technology and internet, why did you choose to write a physical book over an e-book?
Yeah, actually, I also have the thought to have either the traditional hard copy or the e-book.
Right.
But old school thought, we always believe that we're holding something, we have a passion to read rather than we read on the computer or iPad.
Right.
The old school thought.
Yes, I tend to agree with that, really, because I think there's nothing like holding something physically.
Yes, and especially when we do some seminars, or even when we're meeting with our friends, it's something that we can share the joy about.
Right.
E-book, you cannot share the joy,
Yes, in a sense. When it's physical, it's there and it's real.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Wonderful. So, aside from writing your book and being busy with your clients, what else do you also speak at forums and etc.?
Yeah, I was invited by some of the private bankers to meet their clients and share some investment strategies.
Right.
Okay, and I always joke that those people who have heard my sharing, usually they are ultra high level investors.
All right. Okay. Ultra high level investors. Okay. Now, since you're very familiar with investor profiles, would you mind sharing with the viewers a little? What is the typical profile of a Malaysian who's keen in investing, especially in overseas investment?
Okay. usually a lot of people, they always go into something that they are able to reach financially,
Right.
Maybe in a very low capital outlay, and that's one of the main reasons why we travel a lot of places to
Okay.
find some portfolio that actually we call it portfolio management.
Okay, now for the layman out there, what
Yes.
is portfolio management?
Portfolio management basically is you putting your money in a different investment portfolio.
Okay.
Actually, it's like diversifying all your risks. If
Okay.
anything happen to one country or economies, at least your other investment in other part of the world will not affect it.
Right. So let's say, for example, instead of putting all my money in Australia, I divide it amongst Australia, New Zealand, UK, maybe.
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right. Understood.
Be a smart investors.
Okay, being a smart investor, right? Not just an investor.
Yes.
Okay. So aside from so we're continuing, what's a typical profile of a Malaysian investor who goes overseas?
A lot of people they love to invest into physical property,
Okay.
or simply just buying a piece of land,
Right.
and wait for
Yes.
the capital appreciation. Okay,
Yes.
and it always depends on what kind of a risk appetite the investors have.
Okay. What's a risk appetite?
Okay, sometimes it's the time factor.
Right.
Some investment strategy like buying a land in other places. Right? For example, you used to big hoo-ha invest in Canada or UK lands.
Right. I think there's
which-
still a little bit of that
Yeah,
in
still a
the
little bit
market.
that.
You still often see, advertising in the papers
Yes.
for UK especially.
And this strategy sometimes will take you years and years before there is a conversion or before there is an interested party to buy over this piece of land.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one of the main reasons why drivers to invest into Hong Kong. All right?
I see.
We always
Okay.
believe lands in islands like Hong Kong, Singapore is very scarcity.
Yes,
right?
of course.
Just imagine you own a piece of land in the downtown of Orchard Road.
Of course.
It
I
makes you a
mean,
billionaire now.
yes,
Yeah.
literally. It's
Yeah.
almost priceless.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So typically speaking, a Malaysian who would be looking to invest would fall within which age category?
Usually in the range of like 30s until the age of 40 plus 50s,
Right.
where they have extra money and sitting in the bank and give not much of a return.
Right.
So they are looking at.
So there's that expendable income.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And do you think that the current structure of investment services and etc. in the Malaysian scene, does it properly educate investors?
I believe that there's a lot of campaign or seminars that actually are educating the Malaysian to
Right.
invest into real estates. Right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of good property experts. Right? And like myself, I have a very good mentors like Dr. Sri Gavin, Ho Chin
Right.
Soon, who teach me a lot on this real estate investment as well.
Right. Okay. So let's say, for example, I'm a Malaysian. I'm in my mid-30s to 40s. I've got the expendable income. I want to invest. Where do I get started, and how do I get started?
Okay. It always depends on what your expectation is.
Okay.
Alright.
So expectations first.
Yes. So number one is location.
Okay.
A lot of people they invest because they want to touch and see where they invested.
Right.
To some people, they don't care where they invest as long as it generate the kind of a return, secure.
Right. Okay. So hold that thought. We'll just cut to the commercial break.
Sure.
And when we're back, we'll be discussing a little bit more
Alright.
about property investment. So do stay with us, and we'll back once the break is done.
Thank you.
Travel, not because I like to travel. I travel so I can say this. What you're looking for is inside of you, and you should be in peace.
Prem Rawat has been traveling for 40 years, inspiring people around the world to find peace within.
I go and I talk to people, and I present them with the possibility of themselves discover the peace that lies within you.
Kavita, Meling, dah set ke belum? Sikit je lagi, Puan.
Apa menu kita hari ni?
Semua menu sihat. Ikan bakar, sup ayam, sayur-sayuran. Banyaklah.
Puan, banyaknya guna minyak. Bahayakan kesihatan lah.
Betul lah macam ni. Saya dah kurangkan separuh dari biasa ni. Cuba rasa ni. Sedap tak?
Biar kurang masin, jangan lebih.
Betul tu. Kita kena kurangkan minyak, gula.
Garam dan santan dalam masakan. Barulah ramai pelanggan datang ke kedai kita. Semuanya sihat belaka.
Menyelami realiti, menjejaki masa, meninjau peristiwa, paparan kronikal kembara kehidupan, pelbagai keunikan juga pengalaman menarik. Segalanya disorotkan selama setengah jam dalam channel Bernama setiap Ahad jam 9.30 malam hanya di Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and Max Shankar, author and international property investor. So, Max, as we were talking about, let's say I'm a Malaysian, I'm in my 30s, 40s, I've got the expendable income, I want to invest. So the first thing one should look at is location.
Yes.
Why location?
Because location actually will determine, right, how fast this property will appreciate, and also is it will be sought after.
Right.
If you buy something that in a very outskirt, or there's no any mega development surrounding the area, right, basically you are putting something at risk.
Right.
And the return cannot cover your expenses.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's just have a look at some of the slides playing on the screen. So, can you tell us a little bit about them?
Okay. Basically, these are pictures that we took when we visited Christchurch,
Right.
in New Zealand. Okay, and one of the main reasons why we have went to Christchurch is because of the rebuild plan.
Right.
The government have about 40 billion to spend to rebuild the whole city.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, that's an incredible amount.
Yes, it's
Very
about 100
interesting.
over billion ringgit.
Okay,
Yes.
right. So we'll come back to that a little bit
sure.
later, talking about your interest in New Zealand.
Yep.
So as you were saying, there's location first, and location because it'll tell you how quickly the property appreciates.
Yes.
What is property appreciation for the layman out there?
In Malaysia, if you can expect something within the range of like 8 to 10% per annum,
Right.
capital appreciation, I think that's something very good.
Okay. Right.
And I'm sure you still remember, like a couple of years back, ordinary property, a condo,
Right.
selling about 200 plus, now easily selling about like 500.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. So that's almost the doubling in
Yes,
value.
there's a property boom.
Right, that's the boom.
Yep.
Right. So currently, talking about the local perspective for a minute, what type of life cycle is the Malaysian industry going through? Is it a boom? Is it a bust? What is it? What's happening right now?
There's always a good time to buy properties.
All right.
Depends on the location.
Good time,
Okay,
yes.
they never say wrong, when to invest.
Right.
Most of the time, right, it's always depend on your financial capacity.
Okay.
Today's the biggest challenge is, are the bank willing to lend you money? That is the
Okay.
biggest challenge.
Right. So
Yeah.
people's credit worthiness, basically.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So moving back. So let's say I've got the location. What's the second thing I need to consider if I want to invest for the first time?
Okay, let's say you invest for the first time, right? We always ask you to consider,
Right.
The location is one thing. The second thing is your affordability.
Okay.
Especially
Affordability.
today's property are very high price. Okay, and you will need to consider all your expenses before buying a property. Because
Right.
it can be a liability to you.
Of course,
Yep.
yes. So if you're not careful, it becomes something, negative instead of positive.
Yes, right?
Right.
Negative cash flow. But of course, if you're buying as a home, right, then you can buy anywhere as long as you like it.
Right,
afford it,
okay.
yeah.
So, but generally, properties bought for investment are not where the investor intends to live.
Yes.
So, what sets those kind of properties apart? What do you need to be looking for?
Okay, I always go where the government goes. you
Okay,
know.
go where the government goes.
Yes.
Why?
Like MRT, the
Okay.
line, the public transport, or mega
Right.
project. Because these are the area that have a lot of activities, especially
Right.
the business activities. Right? If you afford to, I always encourage people to invest into commercial. Okay?
Right,
Yes.
commercial properties.
Yes.
Okay, very good point. Because I think a lot of Malaysians, especially, they get attracted by, let's say, condo developments in area X. Seems cheap, they buy it, and then nothing's happening in the area for 10 years.
Yes.
Right.
And it can really, what they call it, a negative cash flow. And a lot of people actually they are not afford to continue to pay it.
Right. Okay. So that causes a big debt in the whole system.
Yes.
All right. Yes. So good point to note. So go where the government goes. Location is important, and
Yes.
Right. What else is important?
To me, of course, the most important thing is how much we can make from that property.
Okay. Right.
The
So
ROI.
factor that as well.
Yes, the return on investment. Okay. The opportunity cost. Because there's a lot of investment strategy out there that
Right.
can generate a double-digit return per year. For example,
Okay.
like 10%, 12%. If we put our money into something that can only generate, say about like 5%. Okay, this is what the current rental yield are now, a net rental yield.
Right.
Okay, for example, 500,000 condo, you can rent it out like 2,000 plus or 3,000. Hardly you can demand for 5,000 ringgit.
Right.
So
of
the
course,
net
naturally.
So the net rental return is only about 5%.
Okay.
Okay, and property have two fundamental gain. One is a capital appreciation. If I
Okay.
buy now at 500,000, most likely after a number of years, it can appreciate to like 1 million.
Right.
So there's
X number of years. Yes. In
So-
between.
So there's an opportunity to make 500,000,
Right.
which hardly a lot of laymen can save that 500,000 in
Yes.
5 years or 10 years.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Right. And second is the rental return. Give
Okay.
you a monthly cash flow.
Yes,
Yeah.
true as well, because it doesn't just have to lay fallow.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So these factors put together, is there anything else also that a new investor must consider?
Something that I always share with these young investors like myself a few years back when I buy a lot of properties in Malaysia is how fast you grab all this opportunity will decide how much you can make, because property does not wait for people to take it up.
Right.
Somebody will take the opportunity. If
Okay.
you see it's a good investment, just grab it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So consider your factors, but don't wait on it too long.
Yes.
Right. So basically, what you're saying is that it is worth the time as well as the expense going to a professional investment consultant. Right. Yeah, and I think that is perhaps a mistake most Malaysians make. They just look at it and it looks okay and they just go in.
Yes.
So you need to consider all of this as well.
Yes.
Right.
And always ask the experts.
Okay.
I see a lot of our friends, right, who we introduce a good opportunity.
Right.
Then they go back, they ask friends who have no experience at all
Right.
in property investment, and they discourage them.
Ah,
Right.
right.
So then they hold back their decision.
Okay, based on somebody who's not a professional.
Yes. But after number of years, these are people who regretted they have
Right.
not bought.
Because there might be a boom in that exact
Yes,
property.
yes.
Okay, all right, understood. Okay, so now moving on to New Zealand. So one of the places that you've been looking at, you know, aside from Germany, Hong Kong, US, and Australia, you've been talking a lot about New Zealand in your
Yes.
work. Why New Zealand?
Actually, it's something that I hope I will not share publicly, right?
Right.
Because the opportunity is so rare.
Right,
And
okay.
it's something that we really want to grab it. I still remember when I went there last year, May.
Okay.
It takes me almost a year to study the whole market there. You know, and
Right,
especially
almost a year.
Yeah, almost
Why
a
a year? Why? I mean, for example, if you were in Hong Kong, you'd probably finish that in just a month or so. Why did it take so much longer in New Zealand?
Because it's a totally a new market.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people, they always invest in UK, Australia, you know, Hong Kong, Singapore, and so on. But
Right.
New Zealand is a very new market.
I see.
Okay, especially although they are the world largest exporter of the dairy products, and
That's
there's
right.
a lot of opportunity. But then the property are quite stagnant in Auckland and Wellington.
Okay,
Like
yes,
what
the major
experience-
urban
Yes.
centres.
But the
Okay.
Christchurch is something that it happened after the earthquake.
Right,
Yep.
yes, the recent earthquakes.
Yes.
So, what is so special about Christchurch's unique situation right now, in
Okay.
your opinion?
Yep. After the earthquake, the government actually have a rebuild plan for the city.
All right.
Okay, and they have budgeted New Zealand dollar 40 billion to rebuild the whole city.
Right.
And more than 50% are residential related properties.
Okay.
Right, because the demand and supply.
So that's a huge undertaking that they are,
Yes.
you know, bringing on 40 billion US New Zealand dollars.
Yes.
You say, okay.
I'm sure you still remember, like 5 years back
Right.
in Malaysia, it happened the same as well. Whenever there's a reputable developer launch projects, people are queuing up.
Yes, literally, to
overnight.
snap it up,
Yes.
you know, and it's like sold out. Phase 1 done, phase 2, phase 3 as
Yep.
well.
So the same thing happening in Christchurch.
Right.
Yep.
So it's the beginning of the boom in Christchurch.
Yes. And I still remember last year I went there, all the motels are pre-booked. You have
Right.
to take 6 months
Even
to
the
book
motels.
accommodation. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Not just the hotels, but the motels as well.
Yes.
Okay.
There are not many places to stay anymore actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the city council, they are very careful to approve all these building plan. Okay, not like in Malaysia, just simply approve, or they already study the infrastructure,
Right.
the public support, police station, the hospital and all that before they approve that particular projects. So it takes number of years before they really approve all these projects.
Yes, that's right. Because the approval comes in, but in stages, perhaps.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
So that's where the opportunity comes in.
Right.
Whenever we tie up with the local builder and developers,
Right.
we know that this project are being sold.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. So you're guaranteed of the fact that Project X comes along with utilities 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
Okay,
you're right.
all right, understood. So, what is the current development in Christchurch which you are looking at
Okay,
to
the
bring to
currently-
Malaysians?
Yeah, the currently that we invested is in Worcester Street.
Okay,
It's only 10 minutes to the city centre.
okay,
All right,
10
in
minutes drive.
10 minutes.
All
It's
right,
just like
that's
a
wonderful.
project in Glen Eagle Hospital
Right.
towards to KLCC.
That's
the whole
right.
Jalan Ampang.
Exactly,
Right.
just a 10-minute drive.
Yes. And we were building 7 townhouses, 6 apartments and 3 shop lots.
Okay, right. So that would just revitalize that entire area.
Yes.
So
and I
cool.
was so surprised when we launched this project, it's pre-sold.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
So we no need to do any sales and marketing to sell this property.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And what is the general buyer demographic for investors in New Zealand currently?
Okay. I can say that it's not investors, but they are home buyers.
Home buyers.
Yes.
So that would mean local
The
Kiwis,
local
New Zealanders.
Kiwi, yes.
Right.
Because after the earthquake, most of these affected houses been demolished. So they're
Right.
looking for a new home.
Okay, yes,
Okay.
naturally,
Yes.
of course.
And the best part is the government are compensating them for a home.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's part of their government's refurbishment plan. Yes, CSR.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So it sounds very good for all quarters.
Yes.
Right. So where would the profile of the foreign investor or the Malaysian investor in
Okay.
this case come in?
All right. Actually, the opportunity came when met one of the Malaysian,
Right.
ex-Malaysian builders,
I see.
all right, who currently in Christchurch and doing a lot of property development projects. So when I met up with him, then we share the ideas to collaborate together.
Right.
So that a lot of these Malaysian investors who are sophisticated investors who are
Okay.
already investing in overseas,
Right.
they want to look into a new market to put their money in.
I
All right,
see.
and have a very good return on investment. So then after we share the ideas, then we start some of the projects. So the Worcester Street is our first project.
Right. It's the
Malaysian
premier
investors.
baby
Yeah.
project.
Yes.
Okay.
You just imagine with only about like 400,000 NZD, which is
Okay.
about like times 2.7,
Right.
less than 1 million ringgit, you can buy a townhouse in the city center of Christchurch.
Right. Okay. So that sounds not only fabulously equivalent, but really worth it as well.
Yes. And the
Right.
capital gain after built, easily you can expect a 10 to 20% growth.
Right.
Yes.
So 10
Less
to
than
20%.
less than 2 years.
Right.
Yep.
Wow, fantastic indeed.
Yes.
So it really does sound like, a wild new world over
Yes.
there. It's almost like the Wild Wild West
Yeah.
in
And
a
the
sense.
banks are willing to lend 70-80% to Malaysian.
I see.
Yes.
All right. So banks in New Zealand would do that for Malaysians. Right.
As long as you have a very good credit standing.
Of course, yes. Your
Yeah.
credit worthiness has to come along with you as
Yes.
well. Right. Sounds amazing. Sounds like a very good opportunity.
Yeah, something to not miss.
Something not to be missed for sure. And where can people who might be interested in this from an investment angle, where can they find out more about the details and the nitty gritty?
Okay, there's a very good website, all right, it's SARA. It's
Okay,
a Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Units, all right, it's a
Okay.
government agencies. They have a lot of mega project, anchor projects to
Right.
be developed in Christchurch, right? So that is a G2G level.
Right.
But if let's say they're looking for 1 or 2 houses to invest, right, then always can feel free to contact me.
Right.
my friends. Yep.
Okay, sure. Wonderful indeed. So we'll be sharing more of, more of his contact details later on during the show. But do stay with us. We're going to take a short break, and when we're back, we'll be focusing more on the investment strategies that you can take to make sure you can maximize your investments. Stay with us.
Latest headlines, illuminating visuals, everything right and now on Bernama News.
Sedar tak kita tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, keadaan iklim yang tak menentu sekarang ni. Perubahan iklim meningkatkan kejadian kemarau, derebu, banjir dan ia menyumbang kepada perubahan iklim yang berlaku secara drastik. Inilah dia faktor-faktornya. Yang pertama, asap dari kenderaan. Yang kedua, penebangan dan pembakaran hutan. Yang ketiga, pembebasan asap dari industri perkilangan. Dan yang keempat, pelupusan sisa buangan. Ini usaha yang Pak Abu buat, iaitu yang pertama, menanam pokok. Yang kedua, mengurangkan atau tidak menggunakan beg plastik. Yang ketiga, mengasingkan bahan buangan. Yang keempat, mengitar semula bahan buangan. Dan yang kelima, memilih barangan dari bahan kita semula. Ada banyak lagi usaha yang boleh kita lakukan. Antaranya, kurangkan pemanduan kereta persendirian dan banyakkan penggunaan kenderaan awam.
Anda adalah sebahagian daripada penyelesaiannya.
Menongkah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa, menjadi saluran pelbagai suara. Segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and our studio guest for the day, Max Shankar, author and international property investor. So, Max, as we were talking, we were speaking a little bit about, Malaysians making investments overseas as well.
Yep.
Now, how about within Malaysia itself, before we move along?
Okay.
Are there any great, amazing investment opportunities, locally speaking?
Actually, in Malaysia, there's a lot of good projects that young investors can participate.
Right.
Especially in the new town like Cyberjaya.
Okay.
Are always favorable to this mega project.
Right.
Okay? Because Cyberjaya, we notice the price is still way below than Puchong price.
That's true.
But Cyberjaya
Good
is a
point.
world city.
That's right. It's got all the access.
Yes, the MSc status, the education hub. This area
schools,
that
yes.
people can look into it.
That's right. Yes, Cyberjaya, especially, I think, especially in the past 2 years, we've noticed a steady increase in the population.
Yes.
Right.
Even my own investment in one of the project, right, when we invested, is only less than 400 ringgit per square foot.
Right.
But today, it already appreciates to 650.
I see.
Right, in less than 2 years.
So there you go. Right at our doorstep, even there's lots of opportunities.
Yes. And there's still opportunity there.
Right.
Yep.
So what would you personally recommend for the amateur investor out there? Would you first recommend, in that sense, taking a baby step and investing locally first and then overseas?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Because always invest in a place that you are very familiar with.
Okay. Number
if
one.
anything happen, you know where to go and take care of this investment.
Right. Okay. So basically, it would be more ideal to invest abroad for your future investments after you've done the first one.
Yes. Or until the bank are not willing to lend you any more money.
Okay. Or until. So you just push the limits as far as you can. So maintaining the credit worthiness.
Yes.
Do you have any tips, for example, to recommend or for the average investor on how to maintain that credit worthiness?
Always pay on time. Because to banks, right, they see your paying patterns.
Right.
Okay. And if you have one or two in your secrets,
Right.
actually that will jeopardize your lending power.
So try never to fall behind payments.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, and always be careful on your credit card usage.
Okay, credit card, the big
especially
and notorious
the
hurter.
young generation.
Right.
You know, using the future money.
And how necessary, going aside a little bit, but how necessary do you think it is to have a credit card? Must one have a credit card,
Right.
or can one just do away and just function with debit cards, for example?
Actually, today banks, right, they want to see a history.
Right.
A lot of people, they have cash rich, but they don't even have a credit card. So to the
Okay.
bank, there's no history, and banks sometimes can be very reluctant to lend money to this kind of users.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, in a sense, to secure your position, get a credit card, but
Yeah.
use very wisely.
Start to build relationship with the banks.
Right.
Make the banks like you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And be on time always.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's fair enough with everybody as well. Okay. Right. Now, moving on to the content of your book itself, Max. So, very interestingly, I was just riffling through and I saw that you've actually developed it chapter wise, focusing on different countries.
Yes.
Why that? Why isn't it just, for example, an overview of the ASEAN region? Why country specific?
Okay. Because this is something that I call it PILC, Property Investment Life Cycle.
Okay,
It's just like human
PILC.
being. We have a life cycle.
That's right.
Baby stage, adult, and when you get old.
That's right.
And at every stage actually give a different opportunity to investors, the saving investors. For example, every development started with a piece of land.
Right.
So land acquisition will be the first stage.
Okay, that's right.
And we look at current Malaysian context. Okay, if to buy a piece of land in KLCC area,
Right.
and you want to put in the money to develop, you're selling a very high price.
That's true.
Okay, unless your concept is right, then you can sell it off easily. Okay,
Right.
but looking at the current situation, islands are a very good opportunity to buy lands and keep.
Okay,
Alright, for example,
islands.
islands.
Okay.
Alright, for example, Singapore, Hong Kong's, or Malta, St.
Okay.
Kitts.
Right.
It's a very good
Yes, so
opportunity.
farther afield that people haven't even really thought of it, but islands, you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, because land is so scarcity in these
Yes.
islands.
So wherever it is, there is the possibility and almost a certainty it will be developed.
Yes.
So when that happens, that's when investors cash in.
Yes.
Okay.
And again,
understood.
the biggest challenge is the capital outlay. To buy a
Okay.
piece of land, developable land in island will cost you millions and billions.
Right.
So you must know how fast you can raise the funds to buy all these lands.
Right.
Right. So that's the first stage. And then after you bought the land, basically what we need to do is to develop the whole piece of land.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you have to look at that too.
Yes. And we always encourage the developers to develop something that the market needs. Not
Right.
something that the developer want to build to create their track record or to
Okay.
put their names into a world map just because
Right.
they launched a big project.
Right.
You
So
know?
it's better to have almost an altruistic purpose.
Yes.
Yes, community building rather than
Yes.
business building.
Yes. you're
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good point.
Okay. And then after you develop, basically you need to manage all these properties. Okay. If these projects you pass to a wrong hand to manage, you see a lot of rundown condominiums in the town.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. And some of them are not even very old.
Yeah.
Even especially in the
Couple
KL,
of years back,
KL suburban areas, you've got maybe just 2 5-year-old condos completely run down.
Yes. Right. So the management will give a very important, crucial points.
Right.
How much this property can appreciate.
Okay.
All right. And management also can be managing a commercial car parks. Like one
I
of the
see.
project that we participated, right, in the commercial car park near airports in UK.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
So basically, from
Yes.
the management itself, we can make a handsome 8 to 10% return per annum.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Because these are services that have to be there anyway.
Yes.
So make sure they're well maintained.
Yes. And you
Okay.
just imagine with less than £30,000,
Right.
you can own a car park lot in a commercial car park in UK.
Right.
Right. It's only about 100,000 ringgit.
Right. So that does make sense financially speaking.
Yes.
So true. So basically, I think that's something wonderful. Malaysian, property management should also institute that. Just so tell them what they stand to lose, so they take care of their assets.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Then, of course, I believe that you also heard if you do some renovation on that property,
Right.
basically you can increase the value of it.
Yes, I have heard of that. Tell us a bit more about
Just
it.
imagine in same project, the same floor, there are a few different units of apartments. But some apartments can ask for a higher rental return.
Yes, that's right. We've all seen that, especially those who are, frequently renting properties instead of buying.
Yes.
Yes.
Because the owners are willing to take the effort to put in some renovation, put in some furnitures.
Right.
So this will give a very good return to the owners as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So basically, as an investor, these are things that you put on your cap and you try and do that too.
Yes.
Okay.
And I always believe that people are willing to pay extra if they feel very comfortable.
Okay. Good point.
Yep.
Yes.
And there's one of the project that we invested in Michigan, in US.
Okay.
We buy all these rundown houses.
I see.
We call it single family homes.
Okay.
Just like a bungalow here.
Yes,
then
just
we
like
do some
large terrace houses. Okay.
5,000 square feet with a car porch, basement, double story. So we renovate it, and we sell back to the white collar.
Right, within the same neighborhood itself.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're surprised that the amount of money we put in, let's say we just put in 10,000 extra to renovate, but we can sell easily 30, 50,000 more than the market value.
Right.
So you just imagine your 10,000 can give you back extra 20,000 in less than 1 year.
Yeah, so that's a good investment already.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Right. So beside the renovation, every property also will getting older and older.
That's true. Natural life cycle, right? Okay.
So that's where we put in a lot of expertise and also money to refurbish the whole project.
Okay.
And you'll be surprised that in Germany, the government take extra mile,
right, more initiatives.
Yes,
such
a lot
as
of rundown properties in Germany,
right,
especially after the Second World War. A lot of these owners, we call it MIA.
Okay, right. Literally MIA.
You cannot find them back.
Understood.
All right. So, but these properties have a historical value. It don't have commercial value, but they have a historical value.
It's like a heritage building.
Yes, heritage building.
Okay.
All right. Over there, they call it listed buildings.
Okay.
So the government introduced a tax saving to those taxpayers. If you spend 100,000 to renovate heritage building, technically you can get back 100% tax rebate on your 100,000.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's a very, very appealing initiative.
Yes.
Right.
So you just imagine if you are paying 100,000 tax, you spend this 100,000 to refurbish your old building,
right?
And bank are giving 100% lending to you.
Okay.
So you don't need to fork out any money.
Nothing extra at all.
And over 12 years, your 100,000 that you spend, basically you can rebate or tax relief.
Exactly. So each year it pays for itself in a way. Okay.
So you pay 40,000 tax, you pay 30,000 tax.
Right, exactly.
Right. It's a saving
so nothing out of your pocket.
Yes.
Oh, sounds
it's a
wonderful.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah, it is a brilliant idea, and I personally think it's something that could quite easily be initiated into Malaysia.
Yes.
Even many places in Petaling Jaya, for example, within the metropolis, we see MIA houses, and those are beautiful properties, just very badly maintained.
Or Melaka, or Penang, a lot of heritage building are abundant.
That's true. Right. So getting back to the PILC, further along the lifeline, what comes along?
Okay, the last will be the redevelopment. Okay, for some of the properties, right, when it become too old to refurbish, it's time to tear it down and build a new projects.
Okay. Right.
And second reason can be disasters, natural disasters, like the Christchurch. Okay, if it's not because of the earthquake. If not because of earthquake, I don't see there's an opportunity for us to invest in Christchurch.
That's right. The government support would never have actually come in that sort of form.
Yes, and the government have already budgeted a huge sum to rebuild it.
Right.
Okay? So that's where the opportunity is.
Right. Okay.
Always goes where the government goes.
There you go. Good point. And you're restating it very well indeed. Okay. So the same thing basically needs to happen whenever people are looking at investment too. All right. Okay.
Never goes wrong.
Never goes wrong. All right. Very interesting. Now, talking about the investment strategies as well, tell us a little bit about capital outlay.
Okay. For example, like buying a land in Hong Kong, okay, it's not like $1 million investment.
It doesn't have to be
100 millions of investment.
Exactly.
Okay,
even more.
Even more. And of course, the return of investment, the ROI, is very attractive.
Right.
You can see that 300%, 500% in 5 years' times.
Okay,
right?
wow.
Something that you cannot.
That's astronomical, almost
Yes.
out of the rocket. Yeah.
Yes, all right. And when it comes to this development, okay, the cost is very minimum. You just
Right.
imagine if, let's say, bank are willing to lend you money, you
Okay.
just need to put 10% down payment.
That's
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
mean, obviously, the entire development is for X and
Yes.
yours is for Y,
Yep.
but you don't put everything all in.
Yes.
Okay, good
but
point.
the gain, let's say, is 10%
Right.
on the selling price. Basically, the capital outlay, for example, like this property is 500,000.
Okay.
You put in 50,000.
Okay.
All right, 10%. Then 90% banks lend you.
Right.
10% gain on 500,000 is 50,000.
Yes.
Okay,
That's right.
Compared to your capital outlay of 50,000, that is 100% ROI.
Yes, there you go. So basically, you can allow that to pay for the property itself.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic.
So that is the capital outlay for this development. When it comes to management, right, like just now we mentioned on the UK car park, the commercial car park, all right.
Yes.
So basically, that is about 100,000 ringgit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Approximately.
Yeah. You just imagine if, let's say, today, this pavilion, there's a piece of land, the developer are building car parks and sell individual car park lot.
Right.
Will you invest?
Well, that would sound a bit scary, but
Right.
yes, parking rates are astronomical.
Yes.
So might be something I would consider.
Yes. And I worry that by the time you consider, it's all sold.
There you go. Okay.
Yep.
So like what you were saying before, don't wait too long.
Yes.
Right.
Because car park is something very, very promising.
Right.
Okay, you will see the rental yield
Right.
going down, but you never see car park rate go down. It's only go up.
Okay. So that's one thing that's always on the upswing.
Yes. And I share with you one story that happened in UK.
Right.
All right. Park your car along the roadside. In Malaysia, I think the maximum is 80 cents per
Okay.
hour.
Right.
All right. There is £7 per hour.
£7. My goodness.
So you just imagine what is the rate that they're charging you.
Unimaginable. No wonder
Yes.
people are so interested.
Yes.
All right. So let's cut to the commercial. And when we're back, we'll be talking more to Max Shankar about the fascinating topic of overseas investments. So stay with us.
Terima kasih. Sama-sama. 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 Sama-sama.
Satu cerita, satu bangsa, satu Malaysia.
Halo, apa kabar pemirsa? Salam dari Jakarta. Sebuah program kerjasama Kantor Berita Indonesia Antara dengan Kantor Berita Malaysia bernama kembali hadir menjumpai Anda.
Welcome back to The Nation. You're here with me, Tamina Kausji, and our guest for the day, Max Shankar, author and international property investor, talking about investment opportunities for Malaysians.
Right.
All right, Max. So as we were talking about, we were speaking of the PILC.
Yes.
Yes. So just to reiterate very briefly, what is PILC?
Property investment life cycle.
Right.
That touch from buying a land, develop it, managing it, renovate, redevelopment.
Right.
It's a whole life cycle.
Okay,
They
from
give
start
a
to finish.
Yes. They give a different return on investment for every investors.
Right.
At a different stage. Okay, just now we talked about the UK car park.
Yes, that's right. And you were talking about how people would buy a car park in the UK because it's so pricey to park your car.
Yep. All right. Then we move forward is to US. We buy all these single family home, renovate it, and
That's
sell
right.
back to the market at a better return. Okay. And another one is redevelopment. Actually,
Okay.
when we come to this Christchurch, right, there's a very good project that is a participation of private and public, okay, to launch one of the very good project called Whisper Creek Golf Resort.
I see.
All right.
Right.
And I personally have a very strong attached to this project.
I see.
Okay, because of the designer of this project is Sir Nick Faldo.
Right.
He's a
Okay.
who's who in golf industry.
Right.
He's just like Michael Schumacher in the F1 industry.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he has designed the golf course for
Yes.
Whisper Creek itself.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
They want to build 150 luxury bungalows in
Right.
the whole golf course. It's just like Tropicana.
I see.
Yeah.
All right.
And this is a project that if you have a property there, okay, it gives you a very what do you call it? Status, a social status.
Yes, that's right. So this would basically be targeting high net value individuals.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So Whisper Creek will be something that will be launched in the next couple of years.
A couple of months.
Couple of months.
Right?
Okay.
And I'm still trying to persuade the project owner to come down to Malaysia.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
to meet some of the potential peoples who may
Right.
invest in this project.
Exactly. Yes. So it would be a wonderful opportunity, and I
Yes.
think we've already got the investment crowd here in Malaysia.
Yep.
So perhaps it's time for them to move overseas and
Yes.
look to New Zealand.
And the government are giving investors program to all these property purchaser,
Right.
a PR.
Ah, I
Yeah.
see. Right. So it's almost like a second home option as well.
Yes, like our Malaysian MM2H.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So these opportunities abound within the region.
Yes.
Right. And New Zealand is definitely on your hot list as well.
Yeah, it
for
can
this
be
year.
my retirement.
Yes,
country as well.
exactly. Could be a very good retirement option
Yes.
too. Okay, great. Now, coming back to your book, Investment Strategies for Global Real Estate, you were telling us a little bit earlier about your collaboration with charity. What is the program called?
For Better Tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, the 50% of the proceeds from this book will go to all these charity homes.
Right.
All right. And on the 1st of April, my book launching, actually we are surrendering 2 checks to charity homes.
I
One of
see.
it is
All right.
Rainbow Homes. right,
Okay.
for all these orphanage or old folks.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Okay. So basically, you're ensuring that the underprivileged are also taken care of within the
Yes.
same initiative.
Yep, you're
Right. Is this something that you'd always planned? How did it come about?
It's something that I always want to give back to the society.
Okay. Right.
And I always encourage people to do together.
Okay.
Right, because when you are doing alone, you can't.
Yes, it's
you
hard.
can't see everything difficult,
Exactly. But I think you see the difference when people collaborate and everything.
Yes, that's how I sold the 1,000 books. Not because of this book alone, but because of the charity campaign as well.
I see. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And especially I want to address a very big thank you to Tan
Please.
Sri Lim,
Okay.
of the Top Glove. Okay, he also one of my role model
Right.
to invest in real estates. Right, everywhere you go in KL, basically you will see Top Glove properties.
Right.
You know,
Okay. So that's his.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Well, I think it's a fantastic initiative that you've taken, and I hope that the book really helps a lot more people out there.
Yep.
Now, what kinds of other investment strategies do you see happening in the Malaysian context itself? What's the main investment strategy here?
Okay. Actually, if we're looking at the current situation,
Right.
the property that below 500,000 or around 500,000 is a very good market to go in.
Right.
Okay, those luxury condos, 2 million, 5 million, right? We see that there's a lot of challenges.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So on that note, so looking at the below 500,000 market, that's really gold in Malaysia.
Because that is where the real Malaysian will buy and stay.
Right.
Or afford to rent.
Okay.
Right.
So that's a good thing to keep in mind. All right. So thank you so much for your time, Max. You've been wonderful. We wish you all the best with the launch of your book, as well as with Whisper Creek and all your initiatives in New Zealand.
Sure, thank you.
All right.
Happy to see you.
Okay, so that's been Max Shankar on The Nation for today, and we hope you've learned as much as I have about investment strategies both within Malaysia as well as overseas. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.